that draft vlog together. Didn't even touch it.
Slacking.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I got the footage, so
Slacking.
Add
Maybe I'll-
that to the long list of projects that I started and then never finished.
right. Maybe what I'll have to do is like release it next year. Davey, that was a big pause you'll be able to take out.
Sorry, I'm booking a hair. I'm scheduling a haircut.
Why do you think you need a haircut? I think your hair looks good.
Well, because I want to cut it before the trip.
Ah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Matt, you're not going on that trip, are you? Or are you going?
No, I can't swing it.
Oh.
So
Tommy actually had to pull it out of the trip too, which was I was depressed
Oh,
about.
no.
yeah, so
Yeah,
Is he
Yeah.
still going to the other thing, or did he have to not do that?
he's going to the other thing.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Little shit chose his lifelong dreams before us. What a bastard.
That's what I'm saying.
who does
I'm gonna have to bleep that one, I think.
Nah, it's fine. Who cares?
Okay.
We're not on the
actually-
big channel yet.
True. Wink, wink. Also, if you're listening and this is the cold open, I've probably cut some stuff out by now. But US Earl Truck Series has been announced, presented by Track and Surf Media, broadcasted probably by multiple people right now, as we're working on it. But if you are an iRacer and you want to do some truck racing,
Thursday
boy,
nights.
have we got a league for you. Check out USRL. There's, if you go to me on Twitter, which we talk about all the time, or the Figures Podcast, or Track and Surf Twitters, or whatever, there's links everywhere. You'll find it. And come racing with us. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Thank you for letting that one be long enough to where I can notice it immediately in the audio.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. This is the Fake Racers Podcast on Track and Turf on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platforms. I'm Joe. That was Davey. Matthew also here. Say hi, Matt.
hello.
There we go. Well, it was a while since he talked, so I wanted to make sure, if someone's listening for the first time, they can distinguish our voices. I mean, mine's the really high-pitched one. Davey is the one that's very soft-spoken, and Matt's the one that is from California, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say everything
Dude.
I say ends with dude or bro.
Yeah.
Really quick, before we get fully started, I know I'm right in the middle of the intro.
Mhm.
Joe, you're doing a great job with it.
Thank you.
Matt, I was watching the stream that you posted on Saturday night, and I was listening to that goddamn announcer.
He is the best.
There's a couple the way he commentated was a little bit like a car crash. It was awful, but I couldn't look away. It's like a really violent car crash.
He does all of the big races, and I wish I could remember his name right now. I think he's a former pro, but he has so many great one-liners that he throws in all the time. One of my favorites that he does is when somebody crashes, he refers to it as taking a soil sample. Which we'll talk about this more later, but after I've crashed at 3 of the last 4 big races I've done, all of which he's commentated. And so for my later races on Sunday after I crashed in the first moto, he was just roasting me every time and being like, "Yo, Steelman, are you going to keep it upright this time?" So dude,
That's awesome.
the
Yeah,
announcers
he
are
was
so
he
good.
he's obviously, I'm joking. He's not actually awful. He was really freaking good at what he was doing. But I every time he would say a new thing every 35 seconds, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? It's unreal.
It's so
very funny.
Yeah. So that's always a good time.
Make
I
sure you
probably
click
didn't
like button.
post the. I gotta look up the stream from Sunday because I forgot to post the link to that, but I want to hear what he said when I piled it up. So
I need you to clip that for us.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
on the show.
I gotta remember to do that. I'll set a reminder. Actually,
Look at
I
that.
keep saying that we're gonna do that, but we got to do that.
Yeah.
Joe, you
Is
have
it
the
back to
floor
me?
now.
Thank you.
Finish the
Thank
intro.
you.
My bad.
Make sure if you haven't already, folks, click the like button, subscribe, follow, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It does a lot to help support what we do here on Track and Turf, and we can't thank you enough for that support. Get right into it. Holy mother flippin' fudge, man. the finish to the NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas, it was literally too close to call. And Kyle Larson won, so that's cool, I guess. Not gonna lie, when Chris Buescher's name was there at the top of the pylon, it was like, oh yeah, Chris Buescher, he won. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was definitely. It would have been really cool to see Chris Buescher win, but does not take away from the finish. That was unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Going into that final quarter, I saw, obviously, as I do every weekend, saw a lot of discourse on Twitter about like, oh, if Chris Buescher went to the top on the backstretch, that's an easy win. It's like, I don't know if I really believe that, because Kyle Larson's aggressive, but also can we just appreciate the racing that we saw with like Larson being gutsy enough to drive it in that deep on the top and literally like right on the wall, and Chris Buescher being good enough to like basically give him 0.2 inches like the whole corner, and they race each other. And the dooring on the front stretch was a little bit much, but also they're racing for a win. I'm not mad about it, but I was like, dang man, he couldn't have just
he wanted that.
Couldn't have just raced him for it.
He wanted it that bad.
Yeah, and that I can respect that. But it was, man, what a great race, and capped off what was like a really good full race, like not just the finish. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest takeaways from that last lap was the fact that Larson fit through that gap and didn't hit Buescher or the wall, and I was like, that is insane. I don't know how you do. It was I don't know if I would say it was as impressive or more, like I'm trying to rank them, but that 5-wide split that Buescher made earlier in the race was like just as insane. Like
yeah.
This was one of the craziest races I've ever seen.
They were on it. It was like they talk about this all the time, and it was fun to see it actually come to fruition. But like how drivers kind of get antsy after a rain delay. It's like that was like the perfect length rain delay for the drivers to just get antsy enough to start. Like they were just driving the balls off of their cars all day.
Ross and Larson, that first like 30 laps.
Oh my gosh, all those battles for the lead in the first stage, especially, unbelievable.
Final stage was chaotic. A lot of little incidents, little wrecks here and there. Davey, this is your chance if you want to say anything about Corey LaJoie real quick.
I mean, it's hard to blame Corey LaJoie because Jimmy obviously he said he didn't check out for something, but I mean, he saw the smoke. He was going into the corner. I'm sure even subconsciously he was like woeing out of it, and then things happen. I'm mad at Corey LaJoie from like it's funny that I'm mad at Corey LaJoie kind of thing, but other than that, why would I? Yeah.
No, I just wanted to give you the floor.
Listen, sports have been horrible to me this year, so I don't like that. Is just that's just extra.
I think that was that the one that kicked it all off, or was that the second one? Kicked off that last
that was
stage.
The one because there was I think that was it because that yeah. Because after that, it took a while for the race to really get into a rhythm up until we got to that point in the race where, coming down to the end, where people were starting to save fuel and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that was before the mess on the backstretch with Cindric and Bubba.
Yeah, I think that was actually literally the caution before it. I think.
Yeah.
Which
I was going to say, I wasn't away from my TV when Jimmy got wrecked, so I was like trying to figure out the context. I was like, what even happened? Like, because from what I can tell, there wasn't a lot of footage of it either, and like LaJoie's onboard just looks like he punted the hell out of him. But I couldn't tell if Jimmy checked up early, like you were saying, or not. But it was just weird. It was odd. So.
Yeah. It definitely was made odder by the fact that there was literally no footage of it from Fox. They just got the tail end and like the onboards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely doesn't help.
I appreciated the onboard looking at Jimmy as he's getting wrecked. That was really helpful footage. There was a crash that involved Bubba Wallace and Michael McDowell on the back straightaway. They both rallied to decent finishes after being involved in an incident. I think Bubba ended up
got
top
a top 10 out of it.
Yeah. And then McDowell was top 10. Austin Cindric continues to be Austin Midrick.
Whoa.
Yeah. Qualifies top 10, finishes 25th or worse. It's great.
Yeah.
don't know how that's the story for a lot of the Fords. We can talk about that. But next gen has had a lot of doubters in recent weeks.
It's been like the main talking point of the sport for the better part of a month at least. And of course it puts on a banger. First intermediate track we're back at. Not to say that the car is perfect, but come on, y'all. How can you watch that and think that we need to like wholesale change everything? That was amazing.
It was a bit of a reminder, like, by the way, this slaps like most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just we are in a stretch of short tracks and road courses, which is highlighting all of the shortcomings of the next gen. So. Yeah.
Don't build a road course car if you don't want it to race good on the road courses, right? Like that's kind of what we talked about. It's crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, really good, entertaining race, start to finish, right? Comers and goers, which is always good. Don't know how much of that was track position, strategy, or whatnot, but it still happened.
You kind of had that. That was really only a factor in that last stage where it went green for a while, where you saw like Justin Haley was up there hoping that they could get another yellow. And I think the yellow for Kyle Busch when he spun, it came at like just the perfectly wrong time, like right after those guys had pitted. Mm-hmm. So it ended up not really amounting to anything anyway, but it was pretty close. But other than that, like most of the races and comers and goers, that was like legit from just, on track racing. It was really impressive. Yeah. So don't doubt the next gen. It took them like a decade to get super speedway racing right with the Gen 6. Give them a chance.
I also do want to say before we move on, like last year when he went on his little win streak, like it was cool, like hey, Chris Buescher is really good as we all thought. Felt like even though he didn't win this race, like this was a statement of like Chris Buescher is the man. Like this is a guy everybody in the industry is known is the dude for a while, and the moves he put on to get the lead on that last restart, and the fact that he was running down, I think it was Hamlin at the very end of that race. And I mean, he's that close to pulling off one of the most ridiculous wins of the year. So yeah, that was definitely like a statement of like Chris Buescher's going to be here to stay for a long time.
And the thing with like Buescher, like again, it's hard to compare him to the guy that I think 95% of people believe is the best race car driver on the planet. But remember the conversation with Kyle Larson while he was at Ganassi was always, well, if he got in a better car, what would he do? Right? Yeah. Maybe this gets that conversation on Buescher going in that direction, if to your point. I don't know. He did win.
That's a fair point.
He did win an Xfinity title in Roush's twilight years in Xfinity, so...
Yeah, and there's also like that Roush program it seems like it improves every year despite Ford's shortcomings this season, which we're probably going to get to here shortly. And like that the Roush program right now is probably better than the Ganassi program probably almost ever was. Like, I don't think that Ganassi program ever was in a state to win as many races as Chris Buescher did last year.
Larson won 4 races one year. But I'm just trying to prove you wrong. So let's.
Okay. Did he win 4 races in Ganassi equipment?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he won. He won Auto Club, both Michigans, and Richmond. So I was at 2 of those 4 races. I know. Listen, I'm just saying. He did win 4.
Buescher won at multiple different tracks.
He won at 3 different types of tracks. I was going to say,
that was that era where he was referred to as 2 Mile Kyle for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because his first 4 wins
dominated
were on the 2
Auto
Mile
Club.
That must have been why it didn't feel like 4 races, because he won at 3 of the same track.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Listen,
basically.
I don't make the rules. Truck Series race was the Corey Haim show. Yay, Corey Haim.
He's kind of putting up like a historic truck season, isn't he?
He's like all top 10s this year, and
killing it.
Yeah, good for him, I guess.
It'll
be fun when he
really
replaces
trying to not
Eric in the 43 next year.
I'm really trying to not completely brush over the trucks, but I really don't remember anything.
I wouldn't blame you. It's trucks, man.
Oh my God, yeah, he is all top 10s. He's only finished outside the top 5 twice.
Yeah, and there was like a 6th and a 7th, right? It's not like he was
a 6th and a 10th. Yeah.
A 6th and a 10th. Okay, so yeah, Corey Haim is good. I'm not disputing that he's like bad race car driver. I'm not saying that. I'm just not over Phoenix. That's all I'm saying. It feels like he's coming for my guy's job, but that's okay. That's okay. It happens.
He had a good
Yikes.
run too all day, so got spun out on the last lap, but ran
It
strong.
happens,
Yeah.
man. It
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Joe's so happy he got spun on the last lap.
Not really. Draws more attention to where he was running. All right, let's go to the other side of that 43 and let's go from the shop.
Oh jeez.
There it is.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
You
That
had
was
it.
close.
Eric Jones was cleared to race at Kansas. They elected to keep him out of the car for another week, which is probably the right call. No one's debating that.
Yeah.
But he will be back at Darlington, which is kind of like a head scratcher a little bit. Like,
Hell of a race to come back to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, best racetrack for Eric Jones is Darlington, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see. But
I'm sure they know what they're doing.
yeah, and I'm sure Heim's going to be on standby too. Is the other thing,
Mhm.
right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to just
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, run all 200.
I just throw him to the Sharks.
Yeah.
But it's good news that he's back. It's good news that he's good enough to race. I personally am glad that they sat him out for one extra race because
Mhm.
what's racing
What was
Kansas going to do for you?
I mean, he could have won.
Yeah, okay, that's a good joke.
He almost won
Just turning
last
into
year.
a comedy podcast.
He
in the
almost
middle
won
of it.
last year in worse equipment, right? Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Okay, good. If John's listening, John will appreciate what I said. Silly season is getting a little silly and wild. I think you
John
guys...
Racers podcast.
Yeah, you're right. I think you guys both have different topics. So, Matthew, I don't know. Do you want to go first?
Matt, let's go with yours first because that was a doozy.
The SHR thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was, I don't know if the team put it out, but there is an announcement talking about how, or like a news story of how 3 of the Stewart-Haas racing drivers, being Josh Berry, Noah Gragson, and Chase Briscoe, have been doing a bunch of sim work together and studying and things like that. And it showed because they all had good runs this weekend. Let me go over it real
It was
quick.
Dustin Long, by the way. Dustin Long
Yes.
interviewed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gragson P9, Josh Berry 15th, and Briscoe 21st. And then down in 28th was Ryan Preece. And Ryan Preece had a little fuel to the fire when he replied to that and said it was a study session that he wasn't invited to. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Now-
Especially because, like we've talked about, is like the other 3 guys have all definitely shown signs of life, and it really does feel like Ryan Preece has been kind of left out to dry, and that kind of definitely adds to the speculation.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think it was Chase Briscoe that said it. That SHR feels more like 4 teams, like 4, like they're all on one team, where before it used to feel like they were all like individual teams
Hmm.
too. I saw
Yeah.
that this week. Just
Someone's not feeling the love over there then.
who do you think it is?
Yeah.
To a point though, I mean the Barry and Briscoe were both running back there with Priest for a lot of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, they figured it out. It feels like, but yeah, it's there's rumors about what's going to happen with SHR at the end of the year too. Random people with insider sources are just dropping really weird notes and nuggets because clicks or something.
Not a weird note or nugget. It's, I think, didn't Adam Stern even substantiate the FRM, or was that someone else?
I don't know.
Okay,
I
no,
think
Adam Stern just said that he sent prospective buyers information on what it would take to purchase a charter. That's all he said. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I was
the-
gonna say the SHR FRM rumor was from a like NASCAR rumor mill Instagram page that nobody knows who runs it, so take that one with a grain of salt. But there, where there's smoke, there's fire. Definitely about the
That one's
4th
funny,
SHR
though.
charter.
That one's
Yeah.
funny though.
Well, it would be especially funny because a lot of people were like, Michael McDowell to Stewart-Haas Racing last year, and then it was like, well, maybe in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, but what I read was he was going to be the one out too.
really,
Yeah, that they'd keep Todd and Briscoe, and then
Yeah, I heard that.
I saw and Barry. So I don't know, with the way Noah's running, I feel like you want to keep him because he's younger, right?
Yeah.
And he's also been the best SHR car by some margin.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason he's not points-wise is because he has he got a 75-point penalty this year.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I believe so.
Yikes.
Yeah. But SHR SHR is just never going to settle down. SHR is just going to be constantly moving and fluxing and changing every season, apparently, because that's all we got. It's just they haven't.
Death,
I don't think
taxes,
SHR has been the same team.
And
like,
SHR changing something major every offseason.
yes, exactly. It's going to be the manufacturer in like 3 years.
Dodge. Good.
I was gonna say it's just weird how like they picked up Priest as like this kind of like diamond in the rough, and then they've already like seemingly cast him out to see like whatever, deal with it, because it was
Yeah.
you know
I think
because we've seen this
The phrase is diamond or rough, and it's a little rough.
whatever.
Sorry.
Close enough. But you know we've seen this trend over the last like I would say actually probably a decade now, where these teams have taken chances on these guys who have not really come up through a development system. You know, your Alex Bowmans and your Ross Chastains and your Matt DiBenedettos, and Priest felt like the next one, and then after a year they were like, oh hey, Noah Gragson. There's our new project, and Josh Berry, our new project, and Priest already seems like he's being pushed out. It's so weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and take off my Ryan Priest fan hat here for this, but it is a little bit tough to see someone who just, there's a small combination there where like he is underperforming in Cup, but he's also not getting great shots in Cup either. Like was the second driver at JTG and was unchartered and was most definitely not getting priority over there because he was unchartered. And now at SHR he's like the odd man out in the driver study groups and stuff like that. Like it is unfortunate for someone who seemingly has talent, like we see what he does in trucks and Xfinity anytime he gets in those cars, just to continue to, for whatever reason, I'm not saying it's on him or not, but he just continues to underperform only in Cup. So that's it's a bit unfortunate, especially for a driver that is as talented as he is, in my opinion. But who knows? I mean, there's been so many SHR rumors that, like, at this point, it's fun to report them. Just gonna have to wait and see which one comes true, because there's too damn many.
Yeah. And like all this doesn't even factor in. You have your Xfinity Series driver is related to like the main sponsor, and also Riley Herbst brings so much money that it's like, well, it's gonna be hard to keep him out of a Cup car. So
yeah.
Well.
I mean, he was in one this week, so.
Well.
He's also
I'm not saying-
Riley Herbst has also been improving, so.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that too. So
Well.
who knows?
His favorite racetrack is Darlington. Did you know that?
Shut up.
Does he have one now? Finally?
No, because Darlington's the next one. Jesus, dude.
That's a deep cut for long-time
That is a
listeners.
deep cut.
Yep.
All right, Davey, what's your bit of news?
Speaking on SHR's charter, there's more charter news, actually more substantial charter news. It's not just like, hey, no one knows what's going on still. It's actually a little bit of substance here. So one thing that came out recently was apparently NASCAR floated the idea to the teams of possibility of a clause in the charter system, the new one, that would allow a member of the France family to buy into a team. Believe it or not, that idea got pushed back. I know, hard to believe. And so it got scrapped.
I'll take
Insane
conflict of
action.
interest for 400, Alex.
No, dude. You
Roger?
ain't kidding. Action Express?
Roger?
I was gonna say they're looking over at how Roger Penske's IndyCar ownership is going, and they're like, "All right, yeah, we could try that."
So the teams have demanded, it says they're demanding 4 terms in the new charter agreement, 45% of traditional media revenue, permanent charters, so charters forever, 33% of new revenue, and greater governance powers. That's a very broad one. I'm sure they have things in mind, but that's just all they said.
I don't like
there's
that last bit.
Still a lot of negotiations. Yeah, that one's interesting.
Yeah.
That one, and it being so vague,
The
it's vague for a reason, right? Like, they have things that they want to do.
Okay.
It immediately makes me think of the situation F1's in, where the teams have like literally vetoed Andretti joining the grid. That's what that immediately makes me think of.
And one last thing before we drop into the discussion here as well, because I do want to talk about all that stuff that I just said. But there have also been talks of shelving the possibility of permanent charters for this, like the next iteration of charters, and then when the discussions talk again about charters, making it permanent then. I guess to give more time to work out that deal. But you guys have the floor.
You don't promise something that you're going to give later if you're just going to give it anyways. Just throwing that out there.
Why, Joe?
Because you just don't. Like,
why, Joe?
If I'm going to give it to you in 6 years, why don't I just give it to you now?
Well, why do you think that's happening?
Why do I think they're doing that? Because they're kicking the can down the road because their ass is on the fire right now and they need to figure it the fuck out. That's why.
That's what I was looking for.
Like, if you're a race team and that's NASCAR's answer is, well, we'll figure it out in 6 years. We'll figure it out in 2033. No. That's what the teams requested?
Yes.
That's stupid.
Those are all things the teams are requesting.
That's stupid, man. That's... Woo, doggy. Because here's the thing.
I was going to say, from a negotiating standpoint, that is the scene from SpongeBob where he's like, no, let him have it. He's like, you can have it.
Because that's like, again, NASCAR, the main bit of power that NASCAR has in this whole thing is the fact that they still own the charters. At the end of the day, NASCAR has the right to revoke a charter from a team, right? That's in the current agreement. They've never done it. They probably won't ever do it because it just wouldn't be a good look. It'd more be like a morality clause, like, say, I don't know, pick your least favorite team owner, goes out and murders somebody in broad daylight, right? Then they might revoke the charter. It's a morality clause. It's what you see in other leagues. A lot of times when franchises get sold, it's not because of poor ownership in terms of financials, but it's poor ownership in terms of ethics and morals. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's what I see. I wouldn't kick the can down the road. Don't think that's what you want to do, race teams. But
NASCAR probably heard that though, and they were like, "Sure."
Oh, really?
Well, and it makes sense because it is a chance to focus on other things, which it seems like they both want. So I see like how it could be like beneficial, but it is. I agree with you, Joe. It is like an instance where like NASCAR is probably keen to let them kick it down the road and negotiate a better time where, the teams are going to strategize for that conversation, but so is NASCAR, But there's a lot of moving parts, as we all know. It's nice to finally get like substance in these rumors and discussions about charters. It's nice to hear what's actually being asked for, like especially numbers wise. I'm so surprised that we have actual real numbers. Yeah.
LMNOP and 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and like you kind of touched on it after I originally said it, and then we went on about the other stuff. But the greater governance powers, that one, I don't want to say it scares me, but that one is just the fact that it's so vague. I mean, like, there's
it's
just way too many things there.
We are, all the problems we have with next gen. You know what they all come back down to? Do you know what they always go back to? And I will say this until the day that I die. Do you know what it is? Let's build a cheaper race car that we can reuse. And let's build a race car that's good for racing. And let's also build a race car that's safe. Wait, what's the phrase about money? What does money do? What does it do?
What does it do, Joe?
Money talks.
Oh, it talks.
Money talks. So, I will go to my grave saying that the reason why we have more injuries with this next-gen car, it seems, and harder hits, and just by all accounts, right? The wrecks are tougher on these drivers, right? That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Maybe not injuries, but wrecks are tougher on these drivers.
They've improved it a lot, but yes, generally.
They are still tougher on these drivers. The reason we have that is because we were balancing two eggs that you should never balance. You should never balance safety and money and reusability. I don't know. That's just me. I'm a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed person, so maybe I'm stupid. It's okay if I am. I still have my morals and ethics, so I'll sleep good at night. Yeah, I don't know. Not to say that the engineers that designed this didn't, but there's a lot of things at play when we make broad statements.
I was gonna say there seem, and this is not me like shitting on the next gen entirely, but there are some problems with it like that, like you just mentioned, where it seems like are kind of broken from a fundamental level almost. So, not to say that the next gen is completely unsalvageable. I mean, it does a lot of things great, but it also has problems. And that's a prime example.
Do you remember when they debuted this car and it was too hot in the cabin?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
They had to cut the holes in the back of it.
Yeah. So, like, there's just, I don't know, there's just so many things it feels like. It was rushed. I think at the end of the day, the problem is it was rushed. And, you know, COVID and all that and whatnot, now YouTube's definitely going to take this video down. But at the end of the day, I think that's time was the biggest issue. Time always is the biggest issue. And, you know, NASCAR got an ultimatum from teams that said, no, we need the car to be ready by now. And they made the car ready by now, and it's kind of launched it. Or maybe it wasn't ready in the first year, and maybe it wasn't even ready halfway through last year. Maybe it's still not ready now. But I don't know. That's why, to circle back, that's why the greater governance always scares me. Because a lot of the problems we see right now are because of the teams, and the teams having input. I hate the RTA.
Well, yeah, and
I've said that since the day it was formed. But that is why.
Yeah, and things like the RTA, like, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call it a union, because that's basically what it is. And unions exist for a reason. It means you screwed something up at some point.
Yep. Yeah.
And that said, like, the RTA is very much a self-serving operation, and, you know, kind of what I was hinting at before is if you give the teams a lot of governance power, they're going to make decisions that benefit them. And, you know, to take it back to the prime example, like, that's a huge problem for Formula One. It has a very much a boys club atmosphere.
Yep.
And you can't tell me that teams like Hendrick and Gibbs and Penske aren't going to act in a self-serving manner when it comes to, like, hey, here's this other big organization or company or person who wants to buy in and make a team, and they're like, well, that's going to be direct competition to us and we don't want to deal with them. Like, that's going to happen. So
yeah, that's tough. And I didn't really make the F1 connection until you said that just now. And I do see, like, there's a lot of similarities that could come into play, and I dislike that. I don't like the team culture around F1. I don't like how some of these teams have the FIA and Formula One by the balls.
Yep.
You know? I would hate to see NASCAR come to that. As much as I enjoy there being a balance between NASCAR and the teams, like having one or the other, you know, especially with how much I've been borderline tinfoil hatting about, you know, just single race teams this year, like complaining about certain stuff that I feel like is just complaining to try and get a competitive advantage or try to get things like the needle moved in certain ways, you know. I mean, it's just the nature of competitive sports.
Add a fourth stage. So we don't have to save
Add a fourth
fuel.
stage was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. But, yeah, I think it makes for a lot of great discussions. Honestly, this could almost be its own show. Because, Joe, sometimes it feels like when you talk about this stuff, you hold back. And I want you to say all that stuff.
Yeah.
I want you to say all that. That's
I want to have a job in the
your...
sport one day. That's what little childhood Joe wants. And a lot of the things I say on here probably are going to prevent me from doing that. But that's okay. That's okay.
If they want to comb through hundreds of episodes of Fake Racers podcast content to get that, sounds good to me. Free views.
I'm also an advocate for journalistic integrity, so I don't think you should lick the boots or mince your words.
No,
so.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah. So there's plenty of people in NASCAR media who have been extremely critical of NASCAR. So.
Yep.
Yeah. They're not always extremely critical of the teams, though. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
You ever notice that?
Yeah.
They're not critical of the teams.
Well, that's where we're making grounds here. We're making
We're different.
breaking new ground.
Hendrick Motorsports, we hate you. You're terrible. Stop complaining. Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to rip on anything to do with the teams. I think some people.
Those are the people they have interactions with day to day, and that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
that's
Same
just
thing in
human
every
nature.
sport.
Yeah. You don't have beat reporters for teams ripping on their own team. Now they'll rip on the rival teams, but not on their own team.
Yeah.
And before we move on too far from the shop, one last thing: the F1 race in Miami happened, and Max Verstappen didn't win.
Yay.
Congratulations to Lando Norris.
Hey.
I'm not a huge Lando Norris fan. I don't hate him. I don't love him, but it's nice to see someone else win. And it wasn't because Max Verstappen. I think they said they found like a problem in his floor, but we'll ignore that. It's not like Max Verstappen crashed or went out of the race.
Yeah.
He just got beat.
You know what problem?
Happens.
You know what the problem was? The problem in his floor was his foot wasn't to it. He's in America. You gotta be a lead foot, leaning on a souped-up Chevy. Lead foot.
Shut up.
Davey, what's your bottom split moment? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say
Go ahead,
before
go
we do that, a couple other things because we talked about JTG and be like, oh yeah, Corey Haim. Next year, and then literally like 2 days ago they signed Ricky Stenhouse to an extension. So
Ricky Stenhouse, this is like
For some
his
reason.
like he's having
My
flashbacks. He's
Thank you,
having
Matt.
flashbacks.
My favorite commentary on that, the Ricky Stenhouse re-signed to JTG News, was just Noah being the first person to see it on Discord, friend of the show Noah Joyce, and only replying on purpose ? To it. My favorite thing said about it. Sums up my thoughts perfectly.
The thing.
On purpose.
Remember when Ricky Stenhouse re-signed with Roush, and then a month later he was let go by Roush?
Makes
For
you
Chris
makes you
Buescher?
wonder. Makes you wonder.
What's going on with Ricky Stenhouse Jr.?
Makes you
it
wonder.
was also announced Will Brown is more than likely going to make his Cup debut, so all the guys from Aussie land are coming over here now.
Oh no!
And
They're
that did
taking
remind
over.
me, I forgot to mention it because Cam Waters ran the truck race, and I appreciate that Cam Waters came to America, and his 2 races that he ran was he got the hell beat out of him at Martinsville, and then he just spent all night beefing with Lane Riggs. So he got the like full experience in 2 races, and I was like, I hope you're ready for this, Cam.
Dude, that was awesome. That was I love this. I honestly like. I knew who Shane Van Gisbergen was because I pay a little bit of attention. Didn't really know who Cam Waters was. I love the guy. Already. He's just like diving in, like just full on diving into like the most chaotic series at the most chaotic tracks. He went to trucks at Martinsville. What on earth? Like, there's no way he didn't know what he was getting into. He's probably like, yeah, all right. It's like,
All right.
I didn't get the crap beat out of me. And then Lane Riggs, man, is Lane Riggs supposed to be good?
Yes.
I mean, he runs well, but then he just piles it up every week. He
Dude,
usually has speed.
He wrecks every week. Like,
Yeah.
what is he doing?
Something's wrong with that truck program, though.
He takes after his
Nothing's
father,
wrong with
what
that
can we
truck
say?
program. He's just not doing well.
Yeah, but they weren't doing well second half of last year either.
Yeah,
I
Zane
don't know,
did
man.
kind of drop off. I think
fair.
I think it's too early to write off Lane Riggs, but it is kind of alarming. But
Yeah.
he's young, isn't he? I feel like he's not very old.
It would be something if like the truck
His
just
dad is
simply
Scott.
wasn't running good,
He's
but
running.
it's not like he's running horribly. But I checked this. I forget where he's at. Like in points in trucks, I believe he's 21st or 28th. Hold on, I gotta find it.
Yeah, he's
not
not
good.
supposed to be there, is he?
Not in
Yeah,
that
he's-
equipment, man.
He's supposed to be up dog, like further up there.
He's
Up dog.
Shut up.
He is currently 22nd,
22nd.
Yikes.
behind Ty Dillon
probably-
and Timmy Hill,
Timmy
Dean
Hill.
Thompson.
Is Timmy Hill even
Stuart
started every
Friesen.
race?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
Yeah. he
Caden
is.
Honeycutt has ran half as many races as him, and he's 3 spots ahead of him.
Oh no.
That's not good.
That's
Also-
not good.
Caden Honeycutt is ahead of Ty Dillon in points.
I thought Ty Dillon was good.
Shut up.
SVG isn't running the All-Star race. That's a travesty.
Just put him in Larson's car. We know Kyle's busy.
Honestly, I was low key hoping that
Yeah,
that would make waves.
I don't think Trackhouse is gonna help Hendrick anytime soon.
Yeah,
I think there's some beef there,
There might be.
maybe.
which is only good. It's only good for the sport that there's beef.
It does
so
suck.
wait,
There are people who are. Go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, who's colleague putting in the 16?
Probably
AJ Allmendinger,
Dinger.
because he's also
Oh,
in the
that's
All-Star
right.
race.
I
So
forgot about that. Okay, that makes sense.
AJ was probably like, "Hey, if you're gonna take me out of the Cup car full time, can you at least let me run the All-Star race, please?"
Yeah.
It would have been really. A lot of people were like mad at colleague for it. I was like, what? I mean,
Well,
they don't
AJ's
have
their
enough
driver
cars.
too. Like that's
Yeah.
the other thing. Like, what about Trackhouse? You tell me Trackhouse doesn't have a third car that they could run for one race? They did last year.
Yeah.
You know?
And
What happened
how'd
with
that go?
But also,
Where'd that car
it is
go?
what it is. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Let Shane focus on the competitive races. No, whatever. Who cares?
He could be competitive.
Sure. I don't know.
Dave, what's your bottom split moment of the week?
Okay, finally. Sorry. Bottom split moment of the week. Man, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Again, I don't want to get into it.
That's okay. That's fine. Bottom split moments can be one sentence. It's okay. Matthew, what was your bottom split moment of the week?
My bottom slip moment of the week, going back to Miami, was the Alpine F1 team having a Bored Ape Yacht Club meetup. Just imagine how bad that meetup smelled. They had their profile picture on Twitter changed to the ape in all of the Alpine gear, and they got cyberbullied into changing it after 2 hours.
Nice.
And it's also funny that they're doing this 3 years after the NFT market crashed, because Alpine is a team that is perpetually living in the past. So, I mean, this is a team that rebranded itself as Lotus, even though they're not Lotus, and then put 3 stars on there. Remember when we won championships back in the 90s? So,
Jesus.
just
You're
that
killing
entire team is a goddamn mess this year, and I just felt like dunking on them again. So,
Fair enough.
Joe, how about you?
Oh, man. So many bottom split moments. Bottom split moment of the week has to go out to the Toronto Maple Leafs for getting eliminated in the first round by the Boston Bruins again. In 7 games. Again. So congratulations.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Speaking about Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I always see people compare I see posts about various sport comparisons to Premier League teams. In the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs are almost always Tottenham. What does that mean? Does it mean exactly what I think it does?
What do you think it means? What do you think it means first?
This close to greatness, but ultimately fucking themselves in their own
Yes.
special way often.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
Toronto has
the
the
Maple-
best... Go ahead.
I was going to say, the Maple Leafs last won the Stanley Cup in 1967.
Oh no, that's when we last won the Premier League.
Now, let's put this into more context. The very next year, the NHL doubled from 6 to 12 teams. So in the expansion era, the Maple Leafs have never even been to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough.
Since
It's
2003, they have won a playoff series,
It
despite
was
the
last
fact that
year.
they have. Yeah, despite the fact that they have maybe the highest paid set of 4 players in the league.
Yeah. They have
here's
the
their
best...
playoff results.
True.
So since 2013, here's their playoff results. Are you ready? First round loss to the Bruins in 7. Then they missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. First round loss to the Capitals in 6. First round loss to the Bruins in 7. First round loss to the Bruins in 7. Lost to the Blue Jackets in the qualifying round of the COVID year. That was a series where they blew a 2-1 series lead. And then...
Wait.
What?
No,
Joe,
that one was that one was hilarious because everyone was like, Columbus can't do anything. Columbus can't do anything. And then
Yeah. So we gotta put that one into context. They were up 2-1 in the series, and then or no, they were. I think they were up 2-0
Columbus
in the
was
series.
one
I
of
can't
the
remember.
worst teams all year that made the bubble,
Yeah,
right?
They blew a lead to Columbus to go down in the series 2-1, and then Columbus blew a 3-goal lead to them, so they tied the series to force a game 5, and it's like, here we go, and then they got shut out. And just played absolutely terrible. And then
so accurate.
the next year lost in 7 in the first round of the Canadiens, and then the next year lost in 7 in the first round of the Lightning. Last year beat the Lightning, lost to the Panthers in 5, and then this year lost to the Bruins again in 7 in the first round.
After erasing a 3-1 deficit in the series.
Yeah. So, and also that game 7 loss was in overtime.
Yeah. It was hilarious too. I laughed. I will never root for Boston sports teams, but when they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'll root for them. Because the other thing is,
funny.
Toronto Maple Leafs fans are some of the most obnoxious and worst fans to interact with, in terms of when they're watching their team. I don't know who the comparison is, but they're bad. They're not fun. They always have to invade our stadium when the Leafs play here in Detroit because it's cheaper to go to Detroit if you're in Ontario than go to Toronto. But,
Anyway, I learned that it's true. They were right.
Yeah.
And it is that. For
If
reference,
it makes you feel better, my football team has been living in the past too, so don't worry.
Yeah. For reference, coming up
my
real
football
quick.
team was.
We have a chance. So we are playing all of the title contenders. So we've already played 2 of the title contenders. The third title contender right now is coming up. Manchester City. They're the main ones that have a shot at beating Arsenal, who are title contenders and our main rival. Hate them with every fiber of our being. We've lost to the other 2, and Manchester City, we have a very good record against, and they're the best team in the world, and they struggle to get wins against us, and it's very possible that we beat them to give the title to our main rivals very soon. And
Sucks to suck, doesn't it?
There's just not an aspect of sports this year that's been enjoyable in any way. Joe, what's your Road to Pro moment of the week?
Thanks. What's my road? I watched the Fallout series on Amazon.
I've heard it's
pretty enjoyable. It's very good. It's my Road to Pro moment this week.
Fair enough. Hey, we'll take it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Matt?
I have 2. One of them's going to be very brief. And it's Supercross again. Next week is the finale, and the 250 West Series literally has a tie for the points lead. So RJ Hampshire and Levi Kitchen are in a literal winner-takes-all championship battle next week. So get ready for RJ to do something stupid, and I'm ready.
I can't wait to hear about it, honestly.
Yeah. And then my other one is... Oh, I should have grabbed it before I did this. So I raced a national this weekend. And that was cool. But the coolest moment is there is a local guy by the name of Ryder Santos he's in 17 Expert. He's doing Pro-Am stuff. He's going to be going pro any day now. More than likely, watch for him to be representing Team USA in a few years because the dude is unreal. I mean, the trophies that we have, it's kind of hard to tell on mine. This is my second place trophy. That's him. So,
badass.
Dude's a big deal, even though he's not pro. And his mom was my nephew's kindergarten teacher. And so my nephew, who's 8 years old, is a huge fan of Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to reemphasize that Ryder's 17 years old, and we were all shitheads at 17, so there's no expectation for him to be cool. But every single time my nephew sees him at the track, he says hi to him or whatever and gives him knuckles or whatever. So my nephew was doing the thing during the main event on Sunday where he was handing out tickets for where everybody finished so you could go get your trophy. And Ryder finished his race, and Colton said hi to him. And he was like, "You handed out tickets?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're going to give me this free t-shirt." And Ryder was like, "Oh, man, that's pretty cool. Make sure to go around and get, free stickers and everything." And he was like, "Where at?" And he was like, "You know what? I'll come find you, and I'll come hook you up." And sure enough, Ryder came and found Colton at my camp and gave him a stack of, 30 stickers to just give to all of his friends and everything.
That's awesome.
And gave him a bunch of swag and everything.
That's so sick.
Big shout out, Ryder Santos. That's how you make fans for life. So, great dude.
Dude, that's awesome.
I'm officially a fan.
I love when people get it.
Yeah.
I love when people
got-
who do that get it. at whatever
I had the
level.
sticker right over here, actually. He gave me.
That's so
here it
cool.
is. He gave me one. Here it is. Yeah. So he gave like literally a whole stack of like 30 stickers for the NorCal Nationals
that's
with him on
badass.
it. So
That's awesome.
yeah, big shout out. So, Davey, how about you?
The beef, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. That beef, that was good. We were trying to watch a movie on on Friday night. We were trying to watch Iron Man together, and we had to pause the movie twice for drops. Unbelievable. If you haven't been keeping track, just give the songs a listen. It's good fun. There's a lot of like serious accusations being thrown around, but given that I'm not a part of any of them, I had a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
that's been
I do like
that's been
that
a highlight.
I like that most of Drake's retorts have been nuh-uh.
No. Well, like then they were like almost kind of like decent, and like the first one, like push-ups was good. His first response was like, "Oh, okay, he's actually showing up for this," and then the second one was like, "Hey, that's really good," and then that's when Kendrick dropped 35 minutes after, which is why we had to pause twice. And so like, despite the fact that it was really good, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Kendrick!" Like it just like it went from like, "Oh, that's really good," to like, "Nuh-uh," like really fast, and then the third one that released like at the end of the cup race yesterday was like the biggest nuh-uh, like that. So it's just good fun. It's good fun. That's my road to pro because it just couldn't stop enjoying myself.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
It has.
Well,
That's
been the Fake Racers podcast this week. We can't thank you folks at home enough for watching, for listening, for however you support us. Make sure if you haven't already, drop a like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed to Track and Turf on YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment or a review on your favorite podcast platform. The USORL Cup Series wrapped up, so Davey won't be streaming that for a little bit. Davey,
I gotta find something else to stream.
what's your stream? Where can they find anything that you're working on?
D7H5er on Twitch, ER at the end. Davey has it on Twitter. Fake Racers on Twitter. Track and Turf with the underscores on Twitter. We're working on stuff. We're going to be doing recruitment races for the truck series, so keep an eye out. I'll be streaming those almost for sure. And that's it for me. Just hanging out, trying to replenish the racing battery a little bit by not racing.
Matthew, what you got going on?
Content wise, I don't know. I think I posted a couple of the videos from my race. If you want to see me go over the handlebars in my first moto on Sunday, go check that out. That was a good time. Maybe the cleanest crash I've ever had. Like literally, I just like tuck and rolled, and then if you watch the video, I like stand up and I kind of walk around for a second, and I'm like, oh, I'm fine. Okay.
I noticed that. I was like, what's he doing? Like you're just kind of like standing there.
If you break it down frame by frame, because like when I crashed at Lemoore, I hit the face of the jump, and that one, I get bucked over the bars, and I literally like hand plant off the top of the jump, and I just roll down the backside, and like I was still clipped in, so my bike goes flying, so because it's attached to my feet as I'm cartwheeling, so. But yeah, I probably could not do that again if I tried. So, but yeah, you can find that on my Twitter at mstealing51. Probably not racing on Wednesday because we're doing a training clinic with pretty sure former pro Jake Peebles, so that'll be cool.
Dope.
So hopefully I can stop crashing at all my big races. So I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Joe, any JCM broadcasts this week, Joe?
Yeah, Maverick Cup Series from Mexico City tonight when this gets debuted, so tune in for that. It's going to be a great time.
Are they running the oval?
No, the road course.
Oh, okay.
Last year was an 80-lap race. I'm really hoping it's shorter this year. I think it should be.
Hang on. I need to do some research real quick. How long is the Mexican Grand Prix? It is 71 laps. So that's longer than an F1 Grand Prix.
And longer lap times.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Godspeed.
tune in and watch that one, please. Say some fun stuff in chat. And then Bomb Squad on Thursday.
Hell yeah.
We live for that. So encourage you to watch that. That one's at Bristol, so that'll be a fun one.
Hell yeah. Sweet.
Okay.
What the
f-
that was,
what was that?
Yes.
What?
Once
I don't
again, we
know.
appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow Joe's advice. Interact with us in some way on social media or wherever you listen to your podcast. It really helps.
It does.
And we hope you tune in next week for next week's edition of the Fake Racers podcast.
Me when you listen to the podcast.
That's what's up.
I knew there was that one. I knew it was going to be that one. That's my favorite one.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.